Yeah, for this one, I wanted to talk about reforming and parole. Because I want to show everybody the significance when you talk about solutions. The parole board in Georgia is the national model for parole boards, and it's been that way since 1943. But even then, their authority so that they got to make their decisions free from political influence. So when people do marches, when people do these protests, when people do all this different stuff to advocate for parole, they don't understand the elements what's missing. Now, being free from public influence, that's a part of another discussion. Part of the vision of the parole board is ensuring the crime victim have a voice in the post-conviction criminal justice process, fostering partnerships and positive relationships with all stakeholders, engaging and educating and encouraging the active participation of all stakeholders in the clemency decision-making process, and striving to be a continually learning public safety organization. Okay, pause right there. Stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders? Now, we can broaden the scope out to see who stakeholders are. But everybody in the community right now is a stakeholder. Now, the parole board, even not taking public influence, is still something you can do to help that situation out. I mean, you can easily start a program, start an enterprise, and you get these transitional houses. You get these legitimate transitional housing. Make sure that they follow all proper regulations. And what you do is, in these communities, you get the communities involved, because technically 90% of the people that get locked up obviously get back out on the street. So if somebody getting back out on the street, even you wanting them out there or you don't want them out there, one thing about it is, if you don't want them out there, you don't have no say so. Now, one thing about getting released is the public want to pull together and open up these transitional houses to influence the parole board to let a person out, because eventually that person is going to get out anyway. So why wouldn't the community try to bridge that gap and come up with these programs to help people get out of prison? If you do that, some people may think, well, why would I help these prisoners? Why would I help these criminals, these ex-convicts get out of prison, these returning citizens? Because it must start somewhere. If I have a transitional house and I go to the parole board and I say I'm trying to reach in and I'm trying to get these individuals out of prison, I'm trying to help the process of getting people out of prison and transitioning properly back into the community. Now, if you have organizations together doing this, it's way more influential than a march, a rally, a protest, a petition, because it shows that the community is involved in that process. Now, being part of the process, the person will eventually be getting out anyway, so you're not rewarding or you're not catering to somebody getting out of prison. You're catering to the community, because if a person get out and they haven't been rehabilitated, then you don't know what's going to happen. So be part of that process. Just be part of the process. The reason that it'll help is because the people who are already out there that may be getting in trouble may see the process causing a change. My friend over there has a house where they help people get out of prison. So what I'm gonna be getting in trouble for? Why don't I join this movement? But these the same people who commit crimes, who come to prison without rehabilitation and get back out on the street and commit crimes. You know what I'm saying? Show them a direction. I know good and well if some people, an organization, got together and came to the parole board and did this in-reach thing, because for some reason the in-reach is almost better than the outreach, if people understand what I'm saying. When you're in prison and someone on the outside is coming into the prison or communicating with you while you're in prison and getting to know you and getting to understand and you doing the same thing, then it's gonna be an easier transition for that person to move in the community and transition versus a person stay in prison with no rehabilitation, and then whenever it's time for him to get out, then boom, he pop up at this house or this house, and then everybody just not getting to know each other. That's a pivotal point when someone get out of prison. Cause of course don't nobody want to be a victim of a crime. I don't know nobody who want to be a victim of a crime. But it's a lot of victims of crime, meaning that it's a lot of criminals, or a lot of people that commit crimes. So if you got a lot of people that commit crimes, then you're going to have to implement something in the community that's going against the forces of nature. Because what happened is, people stand up for a cause, they fight, but it's not consistent. Because one day, somebody might join a demonstration, they come back crying, the next day, it's back to reality. This day, they go into a parole march, the next day, it's back to usual. You have to be consistent. You have to be consistent, because whenever you're trying to get someone out of prison, a machine that makes billions of dollars, and you're not part of that billion-dollar process, then you have to come up with another model in which you can use to help utilize and get these individuals out of prison. It's a whole process, but the community must be involved in it. It may be far-fetched at first, but when you really understand, if a person commit a crime, by the time he get out of prison, if he already got the community welcoming him into the community, that alone may lessen his chance of reoffending and coming back to prison. I mean, the parole board have to make their decision free from political influence. Now that could be up for debate, what political influence really is and how it fits into the parole system. But in reality, right now, it's on the community in order to do what needs to be done. And you have a whole lot of lifers in prison. Now, it's already understood that nationwide, that individuals that serve in life sentences are actually the individuals that give the less problems in prison. That's a fact. But the part that's not understood is, even knowing that, and you have so many lifers, you don't have a system in place in order to propel these individuals that serve these long, indeterminate sentences to venture back off into the community. You don't have that. And I know sometimes it might be to the point where people think they don't want nobody. We don't want them to get out of prison for what? But when they do get out of prison, then what are you going to do? The life sentences in Georgia. You have 4 types of life sentences. You have a 7-year life sentence. You have a 14-year life sentence. You have a 30-year life sentence. And you have a life without parole. At the end of the day, a life sentence is exactly what it says. It's a life sentence. You'll be eligible for parole after 7 years, after 14 years. You'll be eligible after you serve 30 years. Now, I can go back 40 years ago, and still it's some individuals that's incarcerated that fell under a 7-year life sentence. Even though in 2006, they made the 30-year life sentence classification. Now, it's also a stipulation in the law that says that if you commit certain crimes, then it cannot parole you out no matter what classes you take, how good you are, whatever you do. The parole board consistently use that rule. They can't let you out because the law states that according to your crime, they can't let you out of prison. The parole board have these generic reasons they use for not letting people out of prison. But if I serve 1 year in prison and I get my act together, I'm getting ready to get released. I may get out on the street and I may get back in trouble. The same thing if I do 10 years. The same thing if I do 20 years. The years don't determine whether you get in trouble or not. The rehabilitation and the ongoing services is what determine whether a person get locked up again or not. But the parole board, you complete all of these classes, do good, but the parole board say, no, we can't let you out. No, we can't let you out. Okay, why you can't let me out? Because you haven't served them no time. No, due to the welfare society, we can't let you out. But we know you completed all of those classes. We know you did all of that, thankfully. But still keep in mind that the governors and or the parole board in different states have the exclusive power to let anybody out of prison at any given time, and they don't have to ask or answer to anybody. They just have to be concerned about the backlash in the community for them letting certain individuals out.